Misfire, we're going to be talking about the Nova. Yes, I know, for like the 35th, 75th, 92nd time on this channel, we're talking about the Nova. And I would have had a dually video because I am swapping over to a 4L80 in that truck right now. And we're also going to be doing some cool suspension stuff, which are probably going to be the next two videos you see, but they're not quite done yet. So instead, I'm going to give you a quick, kind of half-assed video, pardon my French, on this car right here. And that is because we have probably 5 weeks or so to go until drag racing starts, car shows start here in the end of March. And so I have 4 or 5 things I'm going to try to get done on the car, assuming the dually works the way I need it to and it gets done next week. I have 4 or 5 things I'm going to try to accomplish on the Nova in the next few weeks after that, and try to get it ready for race season and try to crack the 1250 mark. The air is going to be the best in March and April here in Eastern Tennessee. I would love to be able to get off the mountain a little bit and go down to Rockingham, but I don't know if that's going to happen, or Darlington. But don't know if that's going to happen, so we're going to try to make the car run 1240s up here at Bristol when it's nice and cool and see what it does. And to do that, we're going to be doing a few separate things in the car. So if you haven't seen this car originally, this is a fiberglass hood on the car, that's why it's black. We've done that, which we haven't had a full pass with the fiberglass hood on it yet. I am going to try to pull the engine out, change the oil pan on it, because I have a deep sump Milodon oil pan that's going to be going in the car. That should help it a little bit with the whole oiling and system of the underneath the car. It should help it quite a bit. I am also, if I'm doing that, I'm going to be cleaning up this engine bay tremendously. We're going to change this around a lot. It's going to be great. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be marvelous. It'll be one of the best engine bays you've ever seen. It'll be great. I'm also going to be changing the battery to we're going to relocate the battery to the trunk, so that should help it with, you know, weight transfer, all that stuff. And I'm also going to try to I may talk to the guy that we built the converter with, talk to him about the converter a little bit and see if we can get a little bit more stall out of it. And I'm also at the same time going to call someone about my master cylinder, because since I've gone to foil disc brakes with the manual master cylinder with this cam, I had to have a manual master cylinder for manual brakes because it made no vacuum whatsoever. So since I've done that, it just hasn't held like I think it should. It doesn't lock the brakes up like it used to. I know I have front runners in the front. I know they're skinnies, but I mean, it doesn't really even lock them up. So I'm thinking I have too big of a master cylinder, because I know that's a thing. You have to have, you know, the right master cylinder, right proportioning valve, which I don't have a proportioning valve anymore. Well, I do. It's an adjustable one. Anyway, you just need to have the right stuff to make sure the manual brakes work the way they do. You can get away with a lot of stuff with power brakes because the vacuum will just kind of force its way through. So I think I have right stuff detailing brakes all the way around this car. There's the slotted rotors in the front and back. They've worked great with the power stuff before. So there's just, I don't know, something I need to work on with the car. Another thing I need to try to mess with, which I tried before, which is tire size. So if you haven't been around Novas a ton, they are the worst thing ever to try to put tires on. And when I was trying to mess with my tires on this car, these are two 45/60/15s on the back, which is about the biggest tire you can get on the back here. And you can tell on the side fender lip right here, there's really no gap, which is weird, because if you go to the passenger side, and you can fit your fingers up there nice and comfortably and, you know, very easily in there. So I'm thinking at some point in this car's life, or even from the factory, they didn't put the rear end in straight. And this is a 1965 rear end, and it originally had 273 rear gears in it. So at some point, either someone swapped this, like a dealership warranty in the rear end, or it came with a 1965 rear end from the factory, which is also bizarre. I don't know if that ever happened. I guess things could have happened, but this is the last year of these cars, so they could have been, you know, I think this car was made in May of '67, so it could have been like the last run of parts for these cars, and they're running out of stuff, so they just kind of like threw it together. Who knows? But that could be part of it. The leaf spring purchase could be on incorrectly. They could be short. I've never measured left to right. The car goes straight. So with that, I tried to mess with the leaf spring brackets and all that stuff under this car. It has Calvert split monos and Caltrack bars in the back. So everything's correct in the back as far as where nut and bolts and everything's right that way. I think there's just something manufacturing wise that's kind of off on the back. So we're kind of stuck with having this amount of gap on this side and that amount of gap on that side. So I have 26 by 9.5 15s currently on the back of the car for QuickTime Pros. I'm going to try to go to either buy another one of those sets, or we're going to go to a just straight bias ply, just slick on the back. I'm not really sure yet. That was another thing I'm going to try to do with the car. It has 411s out back with a posi, so we're good on that. And the last thing I'm going to try to do isn't necessarily a make it go fast thing. It's just more creature comforts, is put a hoop in the car. We're going to put a bolt-in hoop and down bars. So we're going to go this way. We're not going to put bars out the back. We're going to put a hoop across this way with pin in down bars in the car, as well as a crossbar. And that way we can get 5-point harnesses in the car, because right now it just has lap belts. And if something were to happen, a lap belt isn't necessarily the best, especially when you're going 110 miles an hour almost at the finish line. So I would like to have some kind of 5-point harness in the car for that reason. That's just something nice that would be good to have in the car. So with that, we're going to try to bolt one of those in, get it fabbed up here in the next few weeks. I'm going to take a trip over to Tennessee Coach Works and visit my buddy Sean with the car, and he and I and my wife are going to go through it. We're going to fabricate that, bend the right dimensions and everything, get the hoop like exactly where we want it, get the roll bars exactly where we want it, and try to make it look as tight and as, you know, basically not seeable as you possibly can, because that's the correct way to do it. On top of that, we're going to try to see if we can talk to him about looking at the rear window, because there's some, it's hard to tell, but the car does have some rust right in here. So we're talking to him about looking at that too, and try to help us figure out how to fix that, because I know the idea on how to fix it, but I've never done it myself, and it's been like that for, yeah, since we've owned it. I think we've had this car for almost 13 years now. We're coming up on me having this car longer than I've lived without it. So, you know, it is Valentine's Day, and I do love this car. But yeah, so in summary, we're gonna go over here for a second. In summary, battery box, oil pan, clean the engine bay, potentially, I didn't add this in there earlier, an intake, because this has a Offenhauser Portosonic intake on it, which is kind of like a Torquer 2. It's just a taller version of a Torquer 2. I guess my explanation for it is probably in between like a Victor Jr. and a Torquer. So I want to try to go from that one to a Holley Strip Dominator. So if you have a Holley Strip Dominator for a small block Chevy that you don't want, you know, $600, you know what you got. If you have one laying around that you're, you know, willing to part with, message me at the Daily Misfire on Instagram, or comment down below that you have one and just say hey, and we'll figure something out. But yeah, so trying to figure out one of those. The battery in the trunk, if I didn't already say that. Tires, because the slicks that I have right now, they currently have a gash in them. That was, I think I lost track what I was saying. And one of them has a gash in them, so I need to get new slicks in the back. The hoop and down bars. And it does have bigger injectors now. We went to a 62 pound? I think they're 62 pound injectors over the 36 pound. So that might help the car a little bit too. And the brakes, we got to figure out the brakes, and potentially the converter. If we pull the engine, I'm definitely going to talk to him about the converter, slip it out real quick, service the transmission, see if he can look at it and see if there's a little bit of a, maybe, you know, another torque ratio or torque multiple he can get out of it, or give it a little bit more stall so we can actually stall it to 3,000, because the car likes leaving at 3,000 RPM. When I can get it to stall at the 3,000, it books. The car like that's every time I've got it to stall the 3,000, that's when it won 660 foots, which is absolutely insane when you're sitting in a bench seat car with a 9.5 inch wide tire on the back. It doesn't even have like a full 10 inch wide piece of patch on the back, and the car just like 60 foots like a mother. It is awesome. With that being said, I got to get back to working on the dually. It is currently in this bay right here. The Nova was sitting in this bay. and I got to get back to work on it. Got to get the transmission cleaned up and ready to go in. We got our drive shaft back for that thing. And you're going to see all of that on the next video of the Daily Misfire. So be sure to like and subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell, all those things. Check out thedailymisfire.com down below and grab some t-shirts or anything like that. We got some cool stuff in the works as far as that stuff. We're trying to get stickers going. We're trying to get a bunch of stuff rolling this year for 2025 because we're going to grow this thing and make it awesome, because we just hit 5,000 subscribers. We're over 20,000 followers on Instagram. We're almost at 20,000 on Facebook. You guys are awesome, and it's because of that reason that we do a lot of this, because I would be doing drag racing and stuff, but I wouldn't be forcing myself in, you know, making myself as miserable as I am if it wasn't for you guys. So with that being said, I'll see you guys later.